G'day headbangers and welcome to Dazzle's Metalworks. Welcome back my fellow metalheads to another edition of Dazzle's Metalworks. Now we'll get straight in today, but some good news to straight off the bat. I want to set out a congratulations to my beautiful stepdaughter Jahara on her engagement. Well done, sweetie. Daddy's proud of you. So yeah, that's a good note to start off with. But anyway, this year, my friends, I'm doing the year of 1997. Yes, the 90s. So we're going to start off with number 10 with Visions by Stratovarius. This is good getting to some of these because I can go to Stratovarius' earlier albums. So yeah, number 1 for me is The Abyss of Your Arms. Number 2, The Kiss of Judas. And number 3, Visions, Southern Cross. So it wasn't too bad album listening to that. Now the next one, an artist that I've been into for many years but never heard this album. So this was the first time actually listening to this album, and it was pretty good actually. And that is Facing the Animal by Yngwie Malmsteen. Quite a good album. All the songs were pretty good on it. The top 3 I picked was Another Time, Alone in Paradise, and Braveheart. So as I said, first time listening to that album, it was really good, impressive. Makes me want to go listen to the rest of his later catalogue. So yeah, anyway. Next at number 8 is another fantastic band that I love, but unfortunately this album was a bit of a disappointment. That's Cryptic Writings by Megadeth. This was the album that was done after Euthanasia, but they kind of went down a hill a bit here, I think. Obviously number 1 is Trust, because that song's still an absolute banger. She-Wolf's actually pretty good as well. The rest of the album was quite average, but I've gone with Sin as my third choice for that one. Now, number 7, an Aussie act here, boys and girls. We've got World Gone Crazy by the Screaming Jets. And pretty easy pick for this album is number 1, Eve of Destruction. Number 2, October Grey, nice acoustic song there. And number 3 is Jurisdiction. So yeah, pretty good one there. Number 6, yet another band that I love with a passion. Even though this album is kind of hit and miss in certain aspects. That's Falling Into Infinity by Dream Theater. Obviously number 1 for me is Burning My Soul. Number 2, Lines in the Sand. And number 3, a nice little classic ballady one, Anna Lee. So yeah. Now number 5. Now this album to me is highly underrated. That's Jugulator by Judas Priest. First album with Tim the Ripper Owens on vocals after Rob Halford left. And yeah, both this album and the album after Demolition. A lot of fans didn't like it because it wasn't Rob. I like them both because Ripper's a fantastic vocalist anyway. So yeah, like I said, underrated album. So number 1 we have Death Row. Number 2 we have Bloodstained, and number 3 we have Burn in Hell. So yeah. The next one is another one of my favourite bands. Trying to get this CD though is not exactly easy to find. Album is a bit underrated. Probably one of their weaker albums, a lot of people think, but I like it. But yeah, we're talking Demonic by Testament. This is when Chuck Billy went a bit harsh on the vocals and almost went full death metal. So that being said, number 1 for me has always been Demonic Refusal. I mean, even the beginning of it, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, 6, and then the music kicks in. Oh, freaking, what a banger, seriously. Then The Burning Times at number 2, and number 3 we have 10,000 Thrones. So yeah. Now number 3 is yet another album I need to get on CD at some stage. One of my favourite albums from this guy, and that's Accident of Birth by Bruce Dickinson. Yeah, because he had his first album, which was great. Then his next 2 were freaking shit house. And then he came back with Accident of Birth and he brought Adrian Smith in with him. So it's like, well, there you go. He brought Smithy back and it was an absolute banger. So, yeah. Number 1 for me is Accident of Birth. Number 2 is Freak. And number 3, one of the most amazing acoustic tracks I've ever heard, and that's the Arc of Space. Now, number 1 and number 2, to me, were harder to pick than a broken nose. Fair crack of the whip. I was literally umming and ahhing which one of these albums would be number 2 and number 1. So yeah, it was real hard to choose here. But number 2 is Last Confessions by Cemetery. Very short album, only goes for about half an hour. My top 3 songs are Forever, 1213 Transgalactica, and Caress the Damned. As I said, I was almost tempted to put this at number 1 because the whole the whole album is an absolute banger. Actually, it's more than just a banger; it's a banger platinum. You know, triple that shit. You know, it's fantastic. Trying to find the CD is like harder to pick than a broken nose and shit. So you know, who knows? Anyway, number 1 we have Reload by Metallica. Yes, I know you're going, why Dozer? And I said, well, I like Reload. Load, not so much, but yes, we all know Load and Reload were kind of their weaker albums. Of course, until Saint Anger came along. Cough. But look, I have no issues with Reload, really. It's not a bad album. Plenty more in front of it, though. But the reason I put this one at number 1 is my number 1 pick from that album is also one of my favourite Metallica songs, which I'd probably even put in my top 5 Metallica songs. And that is Fuel. When I first started wrestling all those years ago, that was my very first ever entrance music. And I still love it to this day. It's still one of my favourite tracks. So that's at number 1. Another song that I found on this album, which was an absolute cracker, is Attitude. Get a chance to listen to Attitude. It's a great track, especially the chorus. And then, of course, everyone knows number 3, The Memory Remains, which was released as a single. A weird video clip though, but anyway. Anyway, boys and girls, that is my pick for my top 10 albums from 1997. Now, we start off on a positive note, bit of a somber one to end. Whether you guys watch the news or not, my thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and families of the air disaster in Washington, D.C. in America. All 67 lives lost in that air disaster. You know, I was heard the news on at work yesterday. A bloke told me, so I watched some YouTube this morning about what happened, and some are loss of life, and yeah, all lives getting lost is bad, but some of the backstories with some of these people in particular is just unfair. So it sucks ass, but you know, this is life. So thoughts and prayers to the victims and families. So, and on that note, my fellow metalheads, until next time, mosh on.